Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back. I tried to do some content yesterday, which is our usual content day, but since today is Thursday, and I'm off of work because of the Veterans Day or Armistice Day holiday we had last Friday, I had to take a day off to account for that. So let's get the stage set, shall we? Got a little lantern going on here. Okay. Gonna get the Rayo 17 going on. Our channel's namesake. I'm the namesake, but this is the model that I've chosen. It's a funny thing about that. I was trying to change my name on YouTube because what it was before was, if you're a subscriber or if you followed Bob the Lantern Guy's content, you probably remember, or you saw the video I did with Bob. And at the time, my handle was 35GE Monitor T. Yeah, that's a long handle, and it's not easy to say or remember for that. But that was in relations to the General Electric monitor top refrigerator that I have. I have two of them. One is in the kitchen. It's a 1935 GE, and the one out here is, which I've shown in videos here and there, is from 1929. Now, I was really heavy into those old refrigerators. Not that I was buying every single one I could find, but I really appreciate the design, the mechanism, and the quality of the machines. I mean, I've been using the one in the kitchen since 2011. Never unplugged it, never turned it off. Well, I've turned it off just to defrost it, but that's routine. However, thing runs good, and it's very energy efficient. So at the time when I started posting on YouTube, I was only posting on YouTube to share some videos with a guy who was helping me adjust or repair one of my refrigerators. So you probably seen some of those early videos, and they were only just for just for maintenance sake, because he was in Hawaii and I'm here and he couldn't be here to help me out. So with that being said, we've grown a lot since those early days of, like, I don't know, 2012, 2013, somewhere around there. But anyway, now it's a channel. Now I have subscribers and I do content on a weekly basis, and I love it. I enjoy doing this, and I'm glad there's people that enjoy it with me. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. It's a beautiful day in the Gem City, in the foothills of Los Angeles County. It is crystal clear, mild. Now, I'm not trying to rub it into anybody's faces that actually have weather right now. We were supposed to have Santa Ana's ranging between 40 to 60, maybe more, miles per hour. That fizzled out. We never had it here, which is okay, because when the wind happens, my allergies kick up, branches break off and fall on cars, and motorcycles go by the garage. Anyways, what are we going to share today? I'm glad you asked. I wanted to revisit a lantern that I made a video about a while ago now. I think it was last year, but it's a nice lantern. It's got some cool history and a particular function. Now, the reason why I'm revisiting this lantern is because I have something for it, which it was missing. Which, now, you could order it with or without. It was your choice. I know. You saw the title card or the thumbnail, so you already know what we're driving at. Come on, Rob. Get on with the program. Come on. Bring it up to the table. Okay. My 1929 Mill lantern. My Dietz Mill lantern. It's nice. It's a nice old lantern. I like this one. It wears its original paint. And these were, to my understanding, I might be a little off by this, but I believe they started painting the mill lantern as well as their wagon dash lanterns around the 1910s into the 20s. This one is dated 1929 on the draft tube, so by this point they were using the date codes and not patent dates. But yeah, so I'll have to take a close look and actually see, is it Jan or October? But anyways, this is a good example. And I've seen many examples online, eBay, Etsy, whatever, also in some of the lantern groups on Facebook or Marketplace. And they're beautiful. They're nice. There's good examples available. There are. Yet, personally, this is personal taste. I really don't care for fresh painted ones. Now, I get the idea of restoring something to brand new condition. Personally, I understand that, and I appreciate that for antique cars and many other things, buildings, whatever. But I think there's a limit to that. I even have limits with that. If I find an antique car that's 100% original, like a Survivor, that's original interior, original paint, even a little worn, even if it's a little worn, I would not touch it. I would leave it be, even though it could be restored to factory condition and look brand new, which is, I appreciate that. I really do. But there's something to be said about a car that's been left original for 80 to 90 years. It really is. It's a real time capsule. You just can't duplicate that. Even though you can get fabrics and paints that are similar, match the color, and make it factory. I like that. I respect that. But with an original Survivor that's in well cared for condition, that's still original from the 30s or 40s, oh man, that's perfection. That's a fine wine. That's an aged whiskey. I mean, that's just something to be enjoyed, and it's not something to be erased. And sadly, there's been plenty of people who have missed that mark and appreciation, and they have been hot rodded or whatever. I'm not going to go down that road because it makes me very angry, and I want to make people upset. People often say, especially, well, with this stuff in general, in collectibles, please don't think I'm on a soapbox, but I will say this. This is key things to remember. When somebody says, oh, well, it's theirs, they can do with what they want. Okay, yes, they bought it. It's theirs. It's in their possession, and it is at their whim. Okay, it is what it is. But since we can't take this stuff with us when we leave this world, I don't want to get deep, but is it really ours? I think we're caretakers. I like to think of us as caretakers. So sometimes it's good to exercise a little judgment, use some discretion with antiques or collectibles or historic items. I will say this: there have been some beautiful Survivor cars. Once again, going back to cars, that have been posted for sale because the owners didn't have the heart to cut into them or change them or do what they were thinking of doing originally. So kudos to them for passing the opportunity on for someone else to own a piece of history. So that's cool. I only really feel that way about cars that are rare. There's plenty of cars that are not, and you can do with what you want if it's a Ford, Chevy, whatever. But certain years are definitely harder to find. Anyways, I'm not going to get too in depth with that. I know I've already gone on too long with that. However, we're talking about lanterns. This is a great mill lantern. I bought it off of eBay, and back last year I think. It was I saw it had this great old red paint. Look at this. I mean, look at this. And here's the original red right there. Okay. Take notes, because for those who like to restore these, the same ones I was just running down. I'm only kidding. That's the proper red. Okay? That's the proper red. If you want to do an honest restoration job, that's the color. Now, I've looked at Rust-Oleum colors to try and find something that was close to that, and I believe what's close to that is a royal red. And I think that's the name of it. There's apple red, which is fairly bright. It's brighter than this or that. So royal red is what you might want to go for a slightly toned down but honest period style of red for these mill lanterns, or any lantern you want to paint red for that matter. But anyways, key thing. This has a cage. Okay, this has a cage that can be open or closed, and the whole design of this was to protect the globe from being damaged or broken in a mill. So it would hang in a mill, sawmill, grain mill, mills, stamp mill, whatever. You pick the mill, and it would hang there for light in the areas that were of main activity. To be fair and honest with you guys, I don't really know what capacity these were used, especially by the 1920s. There's a lot of electrification in most mills, so they had electric lights, kind of like the enamel ones I have over my bench, the green gas station style with the white undersides. I love those things; they're great. But anyways, those were very common in most mills by the early to mid 20th century. So where these guys fall into place, I really couldn't tell you. I've never seen any photos of them in use in a mill. I've seen some interior photos of mills. I don't know. It's hard to say. But whatever the case is, they were used, and they made a lot of them. But this is a cool feature with this. So now, speaking of its application in mills, it's unknown, at least for me. But they have a locking mechanism. So they have these little loops. See that? You have one for the globe plate, one that's mounted to the fount, and one that's connected to the cage. See? So when they all line up, they could be locked. Why would they want to be locked? Well, I'm glad you asked, because the foreman or the manager of the mill would want these to be tamper-proof. Really? 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 My neighbor is dragging his trash can out to the curb. I don't know why, because yesterday was trash day. I don't get it. Sorry for the interruption, friends. But anyways, you could lock these. They wanted to render them tamper-proof, so you couldn't open the gate or the cage and lift the globe and, say, light a cigarette off of it, or whatever. So they didn't want their employees smoking on the job, and that's been a thing for a long time. That's why they had smoke breaks. Duh. Anyhow, so this thing is a Survivor, and it didn't come with the lock. And they actually really rarely do, because the lock was an optional thing. It didn't just come with a lock. They were an option. So you could order them, and the locks that were offered in the catalogs were a little tiger padlock. And they're hard to find. When you find them, they usually do cost a bit of money. Will you be quiet? Good grief. There's nothing to bark at. Dogs. Don't get me wrong. I love my dogs, but those dogs, oh, bark at a leaf falling off a tree. Anyways, trying to make a video. Anyway, so this thing can be locked and made to render it tamper-proof. I mean, you could still adjust the wick. You could still, make adjustments to it, but you couldn't lift the globe or open the cage without the lock or the key. So that was a perk. People would like to use these in industrial situations that were needed. So what I picked up recently was a little padlock. I found it. Check it out. A little master. Probably dates to the 50s or 60s. It's not really that old, but it has the key, and it's got a nice old look to it. It's got a nice old design. So I'm really quite happy with it, and it was free, so you can't beat that. I mean, just happened to find it in a bunch of old stuff. So yeah, there's the backside with all the the stuff, if you want to pause and zoom in on there or whatever. But anyways, it functions just fine, has the little key. So we're going to put it onto this mill lantern because it would actually fit and look actually pretty cool. So we will first, let's light it. Now, for a lot of you guys, you won't appreciate this. Now, I know I just ran down people that alter history and you know, hot rod cars and paint their mill lanterns. Gosh, Rob, you're so harsh. And what I'm about to do, you're going to say, you are a hypocrite. Yeah, you probably will. But anyways, this thing was an unfired lantern when I bought it. Yeah, and how I know that is that there was no smoke or soot inside. And I only looked after I realized the burner that this came with had a brand new wick in it. And it was brand new because the regulator did not function. It was damaged. It was compensated. It was faulty, or what's the word I'm looking for? Defective. That's the word. It was defective from the factory. So it had a brand new wick from the 20s. Brand new burner. Everything was clean as a whistle. I mean, you could eat off of it. The inside of the fount it still is mirror shine. It's just perfect. There's no qualms about that. It's perfect inside. It's brand new. So then I looked at the chimney and the draft tube and all that stuff, and it was like, whoa, this is really clean. This probably never was used. But then I replaced the burner, and I thought, well, now it's no longer 100% original, so might as well burn it. So I have been, and I've been enjoying it. But it burns nice and clean, so it still looks very clean and more or less unfired. So with that being said, even though, now, if this thing was mint condition, like if the paint was like it is underneath the fount and it was unfired, yeah, I would have sold it to somebody else that would want to keep it that way. Or trade them for a burner, for a mill lantern that they've used. So I don't know. But anyways, let's not get hung up on that. And let's just light this thing here. Okay, say we're in a mill. So we have this cage open and we get our match in there. Okay, then we lower the globe and then we adjust our flame. And we close the gate. Close the little cage here, okay? And we want to make sure that the guys down the line don't light the cigarettes off of this. So we go like this, and like this, and like that. Oh, of course we would take the key out, but you know, you get the idea. And so then we would hang it up where it needs to be hung, where the guys need the light down the line. You know, working on the stamp mill or the ball mill or whatever you want to call it, or whatever application this was used in, or not, since this was not used. It was probably defective from the factory and they bought it in a case. They came in cases. And this one was defective, so they put it away on a shelf somewhere and forgot all about it. And that's why it's nice and clean under there, why the paint is still very nice and original underneath the fount. And so it sat on a shelf and dirt collected. That's how it aged the paint. It was exposed to temperature changes and heat, cold temperatures, dust and dirt and all that stuff. So that's why the paint did not turn out as well over that many years, and that's why there's some rust. Now, it's an interesting, travel through time these things take sometimes. And I wish I knew the whole story, but hey, it's here now and it's being appreciated. Key thing to also note, if you're going to repaint one of these at some point, the draft tube is not painted. From the cross section down to the chimney or the smoke belt, it's not painted. Why was that? Why did they not paint that? Well, because it's a high friction area. So the collar of the smoke bell would just probably just scratch it and chip it off anyways. Your glow plate, burner cone, and burner itself are not painted. They were just bright tin originally. And then over time, of course, it aged and got dark and subtle surface rust and whatever. But yeah, I love this thing. It's just perfect the way it is. All original, untouched, more or less, except for now it's working. So I had to replace the burner and now it's good to go. But it's a 1929 mill lantern. They also made mill lanterns with the Blizzard. So you could also get a cold blast mill lantern in number 1 or number 2 size. Now, of course, by the 19-teens, the number 1 Blizzard was dropped in favor of the number 2, which was their top seller. But if you find a number 1 Blizzard mill lantern, grab it. If it's under $100, snag it and run for the hills, because those things can bring in some good money. A number 1 Blizzard can be worth a lot of money. They're collectible because they're rare, and they don't turn up often at all. I have one, not the mill version, but just the regular standard early #1 Blizzard. Anyhow, so that's the mill lantern for you. Pretty cool, huh? I think so. All right, friends. Well, thanks again for tuning in again, and thank you for all my new subscribers. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your comments and interaction. So we'll be seeing you again very soon, probably on Sunday. With a little luck, we'll have something else to share. Okay. Take care now. Bye-bye.